Joining me now on Dirt Tracker Conversations, open wheel racer Kevin Thomas Jr. And I guess, Kevin, we'll start with most recent events, Tulsa Shootout. You ran a couple of different categories there, but give me an idea about how the couple of days in Tulsa went for you.
It was actually very exciting and fun. John Farrell, gave us great race cars. I drove, with him in the 51T, which was a lot of fun. Gary Taylor, had a lot of experience there with the same guy in the same cars. So they helped me out quite a bit. We got rolling. We had a little bit of a hiccup with a wing slider during the feature, but all in all, it was a really good week. They got fast race cars, and I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually.
As somebody who's obviously had a ton of experience at Chili Bowl and running Tulsa Shootout, what are things that are different about those events? Like, I mean, obviously besides the cars themselves, but what are the kind of major differences from those 2 weeks?
Um, the way it's a little, I don't know. My week went well, so it's hard for me to really say, but it seems a little bit more forgiving. Not that the competition's any less or whatnot. It just seems a little bit more spread out. You got your 30 really fast guys, but you also got, whatever it is, 500 heat races or some crap like that. So it's a little bit more spread out. So that it makes heat races a little easier. You can kind of control your own destiny a little bit more calculated than it is the Chili Bowl. But other than that, it's real intense racing, and there's a lot of good guys and a lot of guys that don't necessarily have a big name, or that's not Christopher Bell or whoever else. There's your Brian Carvers of the group. There's your Alex Brights. There's people that'll get after you in a hurry. Kind of sometimes more than the bigger name guys. They'll sneak up on you. So it's a little tougher in some aspects, and in some aspects it's not. So it's just different. It's hard to really pinpoint it, but it's intense racing, and there's a lot of good people there. And if you're not pretty spot on with a good race car, it could be a long week.
How different is it? You ran a non-wing category and a wing category. How different is it having the wings on it? It would seem like maybe it wouldn't be a huge deal on such a small racetrack, but does it really make a big difference?
It does, more than what I anticipated. I figured, we're not really going that fast or whatever it is, a big racetrack, and you can actually feel the wing. You could feel dirty air just a little bit. It's not awful, it's not like a big car, but you can feel it. You run in right behind somebody, bumper to bumper, you get tight, and with the non-wing deal, it's just tough because there's no power too. There's you really got to be spot on with your line whenever you're running the cushion. The bottom's a little more forgiving than say like a midget. You miss your line in a midget, and then next thing you know, you're getting passed on both sides. You can kind of get back down to the bottom if you miss by half a car length or something. So there's a few little things that are harder and a few things that are a little easier. They're a little more forgiving around the bottom, but man, whenever you go from non-wing to wing, you can feel it. It surprised me quite a bit, honestly. And, I think that teaches people a lot of things, a lot of good things from micros that are coming up to midgets or jumping into wing sprint cars. I actually think it teaches some pretty good habits.
When you kind of compare, I mean, at the very least, the non-wing stuff versus a midget, is the biggest difference the fact that you just have way more power in a midget, or are there other things that are kind of different between the two types of cars?
There's quite a bit of difference. They obviously virtually look the same, just one's bigger than the next, but you drive them way different. With a midget, say that size track, you drive a lot with the right rear, you drive it with it out, and there you run pretty straight, but it's also like running a midget on a quarter mile racetrack. I feel like those are pretty similar. So I guess, man, it's really hard to say, but I got myself in trouble quite a bit with the non-wing car, just because I did want to run it sideways, and that's just, I wasn't making any speed. I really had to straighten my entries up. I had to, drive a little bit more with the right front, and and which helped me a little bit in the wing car too. you drive the non-wing car and the wing car kind of similar. You know, there's a few different little things, but it's not as drastic as big cars. You know, a non-wing sprint car, you drive right rear first, and a wing sprint car, you drive right front first, and try to keep it as straight as you can. But both of them in the micro, you keep them pretty straight, and just try to keep your momentum up. You know, you got probably 135 horsepower or something like that. I'm not super familiar with them, but I mean, that's what you're working with. So we're used to, you know, 400 or 800, and it's just a little bit different, but I really enjoyed them.
When we kind of look at this next week, you mentioned Brian Carver in there, and I'm curious what you think, you know, somebody that's had success at that level, and, you know, he grabbed 2 drillers at Tulsa at the shootout, you know, now that he's going to Chili Bowl, really kind of his first opportunity, even in a midget. How big is that transition going to be for him? Is it going to be like he's going to have a chance, or is it like he's really going to be trying to find his feet all week?
Well, you know, I don't want to, you know, say anything about anybody's talent, about what they're capable of or what they're not. But from my personal experience, things happen a lot faster in a midget there. Um, Things happen quick, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing. You know, going from a midget to a micro there, everything kind of felt slow, and it made it easier to transition. Now I don't know how much experience he has. I know Brian, but I don't know him super well. But he's a talented race car driver. Obviously, you know, the people that he beat, you know, they're no slouches. So I think he'll have just as good of a shot as anybody else. He'll be with Keith Coons, and you know, Keith is a good mentor for young people. And Brian's not that young, but he's, you know, young in racing age with a midget. So I think he'll do all right, honestly.
It'll be Chili Bowl week when most people hear this, and I'm you know, super interested in your situation this year. Obviously, joining Matt Wood, and you know, what a hellacious lineup of drivers that you know that he's put together, including yourself. But you know, what are you looking forward to next week, and you know, what are really the strengths going to be of that Matt Wood team?
The thing I'm most excited about, and honestly, you know, between now me and the rest of the people watching, you know, I struggle at Chili Bowl quite a bit. I feel like, and I really don't know the reasoning why. Because I like midgets, I like small tracks. Whenever it comes to racing them, their stuff rolls around really well, and I don't know if I psych myself out before I get to Chili Bowl, but this year I feel not too overconfident, but I feel very confident about getting good results, and I'm amped about it. They're very prepared. You know, there's no scrambling around on what would be an easy night. You know, some teams, you know, very dysfunctional, and, you know, can't manage to make an easy night easy. You know, they make an easy night hard. So those guys are very prepared. You know, Dustin, Shane, they work really hard. You know, Ryan Bernal has been sending me pictures from inside the shop here just a few hours ago. So everything's really rolling well. They're very well prepared and intelligent on top of that. So I think those things are some, along with the drivers they have, that's a pretty, you know, potent combination, I think.
You mentioned not having super great results inside the expo. You've had some good results, and you know, what is your kind of mental approach to that week? Do you look at it like every other race? I feel like there's so much buildup for, you know, these couple of days. You know, do you try to take it like other races, or do you try to take it in a different way?
Well, it depends on what year. It's there's been times when I completely psych myself out. There's times whenever I try to just not think about it, not care, you know, and I haven't really found the best, you know, mental state to handle that race. And I'll be honest, I'm one of the biggest head cases I know whenever it comes to racing in general. You know, if I turn it on and everything clicks, I feel like I could be pretty competitive. And there's times when I'm a mental sack, and, you know, I just never know what I'm going to get with myself. But I've really been trying to work on that, honestly, on the mental side of things. The physical side, and I think, you know, patting myself on the back, I think the talent's there. I just got to get what's in between my ears correct. And that's usually my biggest flaw whenever it comes to this race. And I have a little bit different aspect on things these days after the atrocious year that I had last year in a sprint car and midget. Hell, I could have drove a golf cart and sucked in it last year. So it's, I have a little bit of different aspect or way of looking at things now. And even starting at the shootout, I could have went there and, never drove one and just, wrote myself off. But I just try to look at things a little bit differently, take them as they go. And I think it's helping me out a lot.
If we were to talk to you, following the Chili Bowl, what, if you could, kind of look forward, look back right now, what do you think will be a successful week at the Chili Bowl for you?
Everybody says they want to win. You got to have things go right. You got to have things go your way. I'm not super outstanding in a midget all the time. But I would like to honestly win. It's like, that's a big feat. That's a big luck game. That's a big whatever. But, in my eyes, a top 5 on Saturday is, I don't really want to come short of that. That's hard to do. There's a lot of people that are showing up with the same mindset too. So it's just, you got to see the way things go. You got to make things happen too. You put yourself in a bad spot, you better know how to dig yourself out. So I think whenever we get to the racetrack, practice night, see how that goes, get a feel for the race car. And, if you're feeling good, go for it. There's things you got to work on. I think we're going to have the crew and the intelligence and all the equipment necessary to be able to make the changes as well. They usually run good with every single driver they have, whether it's Mitchell Moles that doesn't have a lot of midget experience, or, half-ass retired Ryan Bernal that goes out there and almost wins his prelim night. So it's like they have cool things that happen throughout the nights. And, I just want to be a part of it and hopefully come away with a really good finish. And, next Sunday, I fully wouldn't be really happy with anything less than 5th or less.
You mentioned 2020 there, and I know it wasn't a season that you are particularly proud of, and you did get a couple of wins on the year, but weren't really in it for the USAC championship. And I'm curious, as you look back, are there things that you can point to and say things went wrong here, or I should have done this better? Do you have those couple of things in your mind that you point to?
My brain is a lot of it. I psych myself out quite a bit, which is not the best thing. It's not the best thing for a driver either, but, you talk about it in many other sports. You get the mental aspect of the game to propel yourself into success. And, 16, 17, 18, I had the mental game of what I needed to make results, and also had the crew members, I had the cars, and I had kind of everything going right. And, really 2019 wasn't that great either. 2020 was atrocious. And now I've had to sit back over a long off season and kind of reevaluate my whole life and the way I'm going to do things, whether it's personally or in the racing. I have to prepare myself better mentally. I feel like I'm physically fit with the best of them, but that's not always going to get it to where you need it to go. So my biggest thing on looking back is I just really screwed with my head whenever it could come down to a shock, a chassis. I thought everything was wrong. And at the end of the day, the majority of it was me. And it takes a lot out of myself. I'm pretty prideful most days. And it took a lot for me to be like, hey, there's nothing wrong with anything that we have. It's all just between my ears. So I've worked on that quite a bit. And I think we're going to see some results. And I actually did personally. I saw some results there at the shootout. It's just the way I reacted to things, the way I handled things. It was a different me that I've actually never even seen before.
You've had both situations where you owned your own stuff and you've raced for other people. Do you prefer one way or the other? I mean, I know it's a completely different set of challenges one way or the other, but do you like one way versus the other?
Well, that's another thing. It depends on what day too. It's I love having the control of owning my own team. Yes. you know, forming crew members into, you know, or forming a crew into what you like. You know, I try to get people where they get along, because there's a lot of nights together. It's a lot of hotel rooms with people who snore, and just, it's just the way it goes. That's life. And I like that part of it. You know, obviously I like my own number. I like being able to have the sponsors I like, down to what the cars look like. I'm really picky about that. And I enjoy being a part of my own deal. You know, obviously my parents, Dr. Pepper, McDonald's, there's a lot of personal things in there that I really love. But then there's days where I wake up and I'm just like, man, sometimes I wish I just had to show up on Friday and drive the race car. And but you know, the older you get, the more responsibility comes, and you just got to deal with it, and don't be a little baby about it. And I think that's my biggest flaw is I'm an impatient person, and I'm also, you know, I like things very tidy, so I get cranky easy. But once again, I'm trying to work on some of those things, my temper, just trying to be a better, not only race car driver, but at the end of the day, I'm a boss of 3 people, and you're trying to be better at those things, and not necessarily be the normal me.
With the amount of success that you've had in your career, all the USAC wins, and you know, almost winning a championship a couple of years ago, when you have rough nights, when you have a rough season, is it encouraging to know that you can do it because you've done it before, or does it make it that much more difficult because you're like, man, like, why can't I get back there? Like, which way do you kind of fall on that?
Both.
Both.
There's days whenever I'm just like, okay, you know, it's Friday morning, we're going to race here. I still got it. I just got to do it. And then there's, you know, then there's Saturday morning when you didn't do it, and you're like, Jesus Christ, like, can I do this anymore? Am I washed up at 30 years old or 29 years old? I'm like, no, I'm not. You just got to get all those pieces back into play. You know, it's a big puzzle, and a lot of people don't think of it that way. And there's sometimes when you get success right off the bat, and you're just like, man, I'm doing everything right. And sometimes you're not, you know, and eventually those things that you're doing wrong will catch up to you. And I think that's a lot of what I had. You know, when we started the 9K back in 2017 again, and everything, man, it just started going right. You know, we were winning races right off the bat. It didn't matter who was in the race. It didn't matter who was working on it. Things were just going right. And, you know, we added Davy Jones midway through 17, and you know, we parted ways at the middle of 18, and I was still winning races after that. And it almost got to the point where I was like, well, I don't need anybody. I can do it all myself. That's a big old no-no. And it obviously, me being hard-headed, it took me about a year and a half to realize, like, hey, I'm not what I thought I was. And majority of people aren't. You know, you need that help. You need that person that's going to pat you on the back. And I had a bunch of momentum that rolled into, you know, probably another 4 or 5 months of success, that I just thought, man, I can't be beat. Then I did get beat. You know, I lost the championship, and then 2019 wasn't great. 2020 was awful. And I was like, holy crap, I really got to reevaluate the way I look at things. And, you know, midway through 2020 is when I started trying to reassemble things for 2021. You know, I knew 2020 was a write-off. You know, that was what it was. But I just sat down. It was probably, you know, August of 2020. I was like, you know, we're not going to be able to do this again. You know, you can't have 3 bad years in a row, because then you have to retire. I mean, that's just the way it goes. So it's, you can't do it again, and you gotta get back on the horse. And I think that's what we're trying to do here.
Do you get to a point in a season like 2020 where you're like, okay, we're not going to win the championship, we're struggling to win races, like, let's turn this into a science experiment and just see what we can find? Like, you know, did you try crazy setups? Do you try, you know, what can you do? And do you get to that point when you have a season like that?
Yes, you can. You know, I felt like the Philadelphia Eagles the other day. You know, I was putting in backup quarterbacks for no reason. I was doing whatever I had to do. And we tried quite a few things, you know, and we actually did hit on a few things there at the end of the season. We weren't completely awful, you know, with the help of Jason McDougal, who's he's a smart little dude, and he's very young. You know, I think he's only 23, but he's got quite a bit of intelligence that goes along with him. And he tried some things, and he made me feel better. I think it helped because he was he drove race cars forever, and he tried some things that he would do, and kind of just told me to shut up. And with a little bit of help, I had to encourage him to tell me to shut up, because he's not very confrontational, and Lord knows I am. And I told him, I said, dude, you just got to just tell me. And he actually did. And we ran really well there at the end of the year. We didn't get as many wins as what we thought we were going to get, but that's just trials and tribulations. I just think that few things could have gone a couple different ways, and we would have, and may not even have this conversation, but we didn't. But we did learn some things, and we threw a bunch of crap at it. And it was fun, but it was wild to see what you could get away with too at the end.
When you're driving, obviously, owning your own car and driving, sometimes you have the owner hat on, sometimes you have the driver hat on. Are you able to, when you get in the car, forget the fact that, like, if I wad this thing up right now, I got to pay for all of this stuff, and just go drive? Or is that voice kind of always like in the back of your mind?
Well, both. There's been times when I can shut it off, and there's times whenever I don't shut it off. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
There's whenever I do shut it off, we get a lot of good results. Whenever I don't shut it off, we struggle a little bit, maybe not as aggressive. And I'm not saying miss shows. I'm saying run 6th or 7th instead of taking that car and running 2nd with it. But which, like I said earlier, that comes down to me. And if I don't give my guy, if they give me 100% and I'm out there and I don't give them 100%, I don't feel like that's fair. So that's just because I'm scared of tearing something up. That's my job, is to take care of equipment, but also go try to win the race. And running 7th ain't going to do anything except make you look bad. So that's something I had to work on myself. And it all comes down to funds too. You really got to work hard on your sponsors and making sure everything is set in place for you to destroy some stuff. And once you get kind of those things in line, which I think we do this year, your whole life changes.
We've seen some guys, Tyler Courtney this year is going to transition to being a full-time all-star driver. You've had some time in winged cars in your career as well. Do you prefer one or the other? Are we going to see more non-wing guys go to wing? Like, what are your kind of thoughts about that situation?
My honest thoughts are, we all jump to, oh, let's go race wing cars because they're going to make us more money. The older we get, the closer we get to, financial stability, the more we want that, the more we want to jump to wing cars. But I also see that USAC's working quite hard to add more races to the schedule, bump up the purses. They're doing a really good job at that. And it kind of contradicts myself. I'm the first person to get impatient, but I'm also trying to be very patient with this scenario because I think it's going in a really good spot. I think it's going to go places. Not as quick as what we want, but we all want to pay $15,000 every night, but you got to work at those things. And I think USAC's doing a really good job of stepping up their program. Levi, Spridge, all those guys over there, Kevin Miller, that a lot of people get frustrated with Kevin, but a lot of people don't understand his role either. And I was one of them. I'm the first person to kind of badmouth somebody whenever I'm not getting my way, but you also, the older I get, the more I kind of take into account like what they're trying to do. And then once you finally grow up a little bit and realize those things, you're just like, okay, they actually are kind of, trying to take this into the right direction. And it's been a slow process, but if you really think about it, the amount of turnaround time that they started working on this with Levi and Spridge, and then it's been actually a quick turnaround process. So as a driver, I get impatient, but as a team owner, I actually see where it's going, and I'm quite impressed with it, honestly.
As you kind of get ready here now for 2021, we've got the Chili Bowl coming up, and then, it won't be too long after that you guys will be down in Florida. What are you looking forward to this year? What changes do you think you're excited about? What tracks are you looking forward to get to? What's your kind of overall feeling about 2021?
Well, 2020, God, I hope it's better than the last year, but it's there's a lot of things. There's the sprint car side. I enjoy going to Pennsylvania, and we actually run really, really well out there. So, being able to go there twice, hit more than just your standard 4 or 5 tracks, and cram it all in a week. We're gonna go there a couple times. I always like Florida, just to get the year started. We always have a little bit of dead time in March, which is standing. It's cold as balls here, so we can't really race. But it's gonna be an interesting season. It's a little different, I'm not gonna lie. But like I said earlier, I'm excited for a little bit more pay. I'm excited for the midget schedule. Whenever I run those, is gonna be a little bit more too. You're gonna be able to have those things. And the Silver Crown side, I see they're doing a lot of cool things there. Hopefully we can get that worked out. But, just the whole season in general, and hope to Christ that we don't have to deal with all the pandemic and all this nonsense again. That makes it, not only makes people angry, but it makes it hard on people too. The racers we have the easy part. We just show up whenever they tell us to show up, but it's the people behind the scenes. It's the sanctioning bodies, not only USAC, outlaws, up to it's a pain in the butt for everybody. And I just don't want to see racing take a hit, say like, an NFL or an NBA. We can't do it with no fans forever. We can't put TVs in the stands and have a bunch of people sitting on the couch watching. We got to put butts in the seats. And that's what I am looking forward to is hopefully that turns around. We get to see fans again. We get to enjoy the racing again and race a lot. I think it's going to be a good year if everything can go right. But that's on that side. And then on the performance side, I got Davy Jones back with me. I got Jason back with me, and AJ, so it's I got a good little team. I got good sponsors, and from cars to engines to shocks, everything's kind of lining about like it was in 2017. So, I got pretty much my crew back, and I'm excited for it.
When you start looking at your schedule, obviously, full USAC schedule, what else do you think you're going to end up doing? Are you going to run, local shows at Kokomo? You won an MSCS race this year. Like, what else is out there for you to go do this year?
Some of my biggest flaw is I never put out a schedule. I'll go run on a Thursday, at Fairbury, Illinois, just cause. And so I don't have a whole lot of stuff to throw in there, with the schedule the way it is. I mean, the USAC schedule, if you run all 3, is 105 nights or something. So that's not a lot of time to go do a whole lot of anything else. But, I love running my MSCS races. And I really like my local shows. They're a lot of fun. You can learn a lot too. There's times when you can try stuff and, still maybe win or run second, and it may not have had the greatest car, but you still basically got paid to go test. And those are things that I am excited for. And the local scene around Indiana is very stout, so you do learn some things. But man, just a full schedule of racing is honestly, music to your ears. Just being able to hear that we're going to actually go racing. We're going to start in Florida, and just getting the season started. Chili Bowl's happening. Everybody did a great job wearing their mask. As much as I hate them, everybody did a great job with the shootout. Pretty much saved America there. So it's I think it's going to be a good year. There's still going to be our guidelines that we may have to go by, but I'm excited just to get back and just get to racing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, on that note, I will let you go. I certainly appreciate the time today, and good luck at Chili Bowl and good luck with the season.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.